Alrighty guys, this is about an hour later from what you saw on the last video. So basically at this point I got it broken down enough to take a peek. We're going to take a little more of a peek here shortly because I'm going to go ahead and pull out the crank, the tranny, and all that kind of stuff. But one thing I noticed right off the bat, I'm going to show you. Whoever did the motor last time, look at that. So that's RTV. Look at it. It's actually in the oil channels, which is not what you want to do. Because if you notice right here, that's an oil jet. But they just gooped it on like crazy. Transmission looks fine. I mean, as far as why the bike's not moving, still don't know. I'm starting to lean towards possibly something going on with the drive shaft. I'm not sure, but everything in here looks good. And when I turn it, it locks up in the tranny like it's supposed to. Now, he did have this fixed under either warranty or had a shop do it for the second gear failure, because this is a 2007. Now, what I want to point out is this is why you don't go to the dealers, shops that have no clue what they're doing, because we do the built transmission where it's, you know, the solid shift rods, it's back cut. You'll never have this problem. But somebody paid good money, and I think it was the last owner. Look at the second gear shift fork. Let's see if I can get you in here. That was just about ready to pop out, which tells me that whoever did this, all they did was replace the second gear, replace the shift fork, put it back together, and did not do a great job putting it back together. I've noticed some of the oil seals on different bolts were missing or in the wrong spot. The motor was leaking oil. I'm not sure if it was leaking from that or just leaking elsewhere. Don't know. But, you know, looking at like the crank bearings and stuff, these don't look bad at all. So it's not hateful whatsoever in terms of that. So basically, I just feel like what I have here is a very dirty second gear issue, and we're just going to take it a step farther, and we're going to refresh the whole motor because that's what you need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do new rings and all that kind of stuff just because. So hopefully you can hear me. I'm not wearing my microphone today. I forgot to charge it. Another thing to bring up. This is the oil pan. Look at this. He had a clutch issue. I'm going to see if I can show you. Yeah, look at all that sludge in there. That's clutch material. Now, his screens don't look bad, but this is the point that I put in our video, is that whenever you have a clutch issue, you really should drop this pan because you don't know what's in there. And if it does get oil, clutch fibers stuck up in the screens, you'll deprive the top end of motor, but of oil. You'll deprive the top end of oil in the motor. But you can see how much RTV they put on there. That's not necessary. It's not good. It's supposed to be a very thin bead because really all you're doing is mating two metal surfaces together. It squeezes out the RTV, and whatever stays is all that's needed. So you don't have to go crazy on this. So right now, pretty much everything's out, except for we did not remove the selector forks yet. But you can see second gear shift fork. He didn't mention it to me, and I may have mentioned this in the last video, but clearly it's a problem. And then if you look down here, see the dogs. That dog especially is bad. So here's what we did find. Look at the bearing. This is rust. Now this could be because it sat a long time. Maybe there was some condensation like in the oil or something. Who knows? But I mean, we're replacing anyway. But the crank journals look really, really good. I mean, we're going to go through and inspect them. We're going to go through and inspect everything, but they look pretty good. So we're not seeing anything alarming, that's for sure, other than those bearings, but that's not a big deal. And we still have to take all this apart. We got to get the jets out. You can see they did a lot of RTV on this thing. But it honestly does not look bad. I think the problem's not in the motor. I think the problem is probably with that drive shaft, but we'll know at a later time for that, because this bike's going to go down the frame basically, because Larry wants to paint the frame. So I'm not arguing with him on this one, because he's the cleaning guy and all he wants to do is clean, and he just told me this motor is going to be the nicest part of this bike. So I think he's got some,
what I'm betting on.
He's got some grand plans. And
that's what I'm betting on.
yeah, he's kind of thinking that U-joint missing. I don't think so. But fortunately, we have a spare U-joint. I don't think it's a U-joint. I think the drive shaft's bad. I think that's all it was. But we're going to know in the next week or so when we start tearing it down. Here's another thing. If you look at the crank bearings, they look fine. I mean, they're worn, but there's nothing wrong with them whatsoever. There's the other one over here. So anyway, that's the video of the motor torn down. We're going to get the transmission sent out here in the next, I don't know, 3 or 4 days and go through some stuff. You can see right here, this is the counterbalance shaft and this is the bearing. You can see how much RTV is in this thing. I mean, it's just all over. So it is what it is. It's going to be done right, that's for sure. And I mean, like, look at this. Just,
not even the right color.
Yeah, it's not even the right color, which explains why we were seeing what we believe would be an oil leak on this thing as we were looking at the motor and on the bike. So, and you know, like I showed the other day, take a look at that oil pan. And you can see how nasty it is inside. Anyway, this is where we are, and we're going to get some stuff sent out, order some parts, but probably, like I said, in the next week or so, we're going to continue on. We'll show you the bike as we tear it down the frame and start going backwards, putting it back together. Thanks for watching.